Welcome back to Easily Explained, where today we will be continuing to talk about ecology. So let's get started. So let's go over all of the terms: herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, detritivore, and decomposer. Herbivores only eat plants. Carnivores only eat other animals. Omnivores eat both plants and animals. Detritivores eat plant and animal remains, so like dead matter. And decomposers break down organic material. So let's look at some examples of all of these different categories of consumers. Some examples of herbivores would be horses, cows, deer. Carnivores, snakes, lions, owls. Omnivores, bears, crows, some humans. Detritivores, snails and earthworms. And decomposers, bacteria and fungi. Food chains are the steps of organisms getting eaten. For example, this would be a food chain. A tree gets eaten in the sense by an aphid, which gets eaten by a caterpillar. Now, usually food chains, just single line food chains, straight line food chains, are pretty rare in nature because there's many different things that will come in. Maybe there's organism A, and then organism B, and there's organism C that eats organism A, so they're very complicated. So that is why we also have food webs. Food webs link all food chains, and it was kind of similar to what I imitated previously with the food chain by just adding many other organisms. And trophic levels are the different steps in each food web. So if we look at this food web, one thing to note is that the arrow always points from what is eaten to what is eating it. So in this case, B eats A, C eats B, and etc. An ecological pyramid is a diagram that shows energy in different trophic levels. So first let's go over the different trophic levels. So in the different trophic levels, first you always have your producer, your plants. Anything that provides for itself. Then you have your primary consumer. This is the animal that directly eats the producer. Your secondary consumer eats the primary consumer. And your tertiary consumer eats the secondary consumer. And in some cases, it can even go up to quaternary consumers. So now going back to our three different types of ecological pyramids. First, we have our energy ecological pyramid. This shows the energy level transferring from different trophic levels. Your biomass pyramid shows the amount of living tissue in each trophic level. And your numbers pyramid just shows the number of organisms in each trophic level. So this would be like comparing the number of producers to primary consumers or other things like that. Now for our practice. In each situation, decide whether the organism is a producer or consumer. Then if it's a consumer, decide whether it's an herbivore, carnivore, or omnivore, and decide which trophic level it is at based on the situation. Pause the video now and complete the practice. Alright, let's start the first one together. Organism A eats organism B, which gets its energy from the sun. So first we need to decide, we know right off the bat that organism A cannot be a producer because it's eating something. eating a different organism, which plants don't do. They get their energy from the sun, which we can see right here. This means that organism B is a producer, but A is a consumer. And A only eats organism B, which means it only eats plants. Therefore, it is a herbivore. And in the trophic level, it would be a primary consumer because it eats the producer. Alright, now let's talk about C. C loves to eat organism A, and we know from the previous question that A is a consumer, but will sometimes also eat organism B, which we know is a producer. So that means C is a omnivore because it's eating both an organism and a plant. But since it's eating a primary consumer, organism C is therefore a secondary consumer. Organism D makes its own food. It makes its own food, therefore it's the same thing as gets its energy from the sun. So D is a producer. Now we have organism E. Organism E eats organism C, which is an omnivore and a secondary consumer. So E is a consumer and a carnivore because it's eating an animal. And it is a tertiary consumer because it is consuming a secondary consumer. Congratulations! You are now an expert in the second part of ecology, which regards consumers. We hope this video really helped, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!